This video is sponsored by Archidect, the #1 visual deck building tool. Join the rapidly growing community of Magic the Gathering players using Archidect to keep track of their collection, build and tune their decks, and playtest new brews. More about Archidect later in the video. Oh, hello. Many Magic the Gathering players ask the question, what is the most powerful new dragon from Tarkir to build a commander deck around? Well, the answer may surprise you. There are, in fact, over 25 brand new dragons in Tarkir Dragonstorm, touching all 5 colors and featuring a ton of new and exciting mechanics. But of the many, many new dragons, only 5 are legendary, which means only 5 are eligible to headline a commander deck. These 5 new legends are spirit dragons, continuing in the tradition of the original spirit dragon from Tarkir, Eugene, except instead of being colorless, each of these new spirit dragons is in 3 colors, affiliated with one of the 5 clans of Tarkir. Behold, Baator of the Abzan, Neriv of the Mardu, Shiko of the Jeskai, Areni of the Temur, and Tival of the Sultai. These 5 spirit dragons are the saviors of Tarkir, and are all vying for a spot at the helm of your next commander deck. In this video, I will rank each of the 5 dragons from least powerful to most powerful, and then discuss how best to build a commander deck around my #1 pick. I'll talk about why each dragon is a good choice or a bad choice to be your commander, and how you might go about building around them if they are a good choice. So who is going to be our #1 pick, and why do the other dragons not quite hold up? Let's take a look and find out which of these legendary dragon singles you might want to pick up. So out of all 5 of the new legendary dragons of Tarkir, who is at the bottom of our list? Well, without a doubt, the worst of these 5 is Areni, the Song Unending. Areni is the Temur spirit dragon, a massive 10/10 for 8 mana with an explosive ability when it enters. Deal X damage divided as you choose among your opponent's creatures and planeswalkers, where X is the number of lands you control. It's also got an Animar-style protection from white and black. Unfortunately for Temur lovers in Commander, Areni's ability is not a particularly exciting one in the command zone. A one-sided board wipe attached to a big flying body is very cool, but you'd rather have that effect in your 99 rather than trying to build around it as a commander. 8 mana is also just way too much to pay for a commander, even in green. While our next dragon is indeed an interesting design, as a potential commander, it is still severely lacking, and cannot hold up a candle to its remaining 3 competitors. Let's take a look at the second worst, I don't like saying that, second worst, just second least best of the 5 of those legendaries. I'm trying to be nice here, I actually do like the design, but yeah, it's #4. Coming in at #4 is Baator, Kin to All, the Abzan Spirit Dragon, carrying on the time-honored tradition of big butts commanders in Abzan. Baator costs 5 mana for a 5/7 with flying. At the beginning of your end step, if you control creatures with total toughness 10 or greater, draw a card. Then if you control creatures with total toughness 20 or greater, untap all creatures you control. Then if you control creatures with a total toughness 40 or greater, each opponent loses half their life, rounded up. Baator is a fun take on the big butts archetype, giving you a goal to work toward. Fill your battlefield with as many bottom-heavy creatures as you can get your hands on. But for as much as we all like big butts, I simply cannot lie. Baator's ability is a little too low impact to make up for triggering only once per cycle. Honestly, you're better off sticking with Duran the Siege Tower at the helm. But you can probably put Baator in the 99 of that deck and still have fun. Okay, we've officially made it to the good commanders portion of the list. All 3 of the remaining dragons make for fun build-arounds, and I am actually excited to build around all 3 of them, but only one of them could take the #3 spot. So just who ended up as #3? Well, Of our 3 remaining legendary dragons, I believe that Nerev, Heart of the Storm, the Mardu Spirit Dragon, is only the 3rd best of them. Nerev is a 4-mana, 4/5 dragon with a very simple ability. Creatures that entered the battlefield this turn under your control deal double damage, both combat and non-combat. Yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. The goal of a deck built around Nerev is fairly simple. Hit hard, hit fast, and hit often, with hasty creatures, haste-granting effects, and ways for your creatures to deal non-combat damage on the turn they enter. Nerev is a sweet card, and I always appreciate a good aggro commander. Nonetheless, I feel it is not quite as exciting or unique as the top 2 cards on this list. Number 2 on our list is a card I came very close to ranking number 1, and I expect many Magic the Gathering players to build many Magic the Gathering commander decks around it. Tival, Arbiter of Virtue, is a 5-mana, 6/6 flying lifelinker in Sultai colors. Tival has a significant downside, but it comes with an even more significant upside. Whenever you cast a spell with Tival in play, you lose life equal to its mana value. In exchange, spells you cast have Delve. OMG. All your spells get Delve. Oops, all Delve. What could possibly be more Sultai than this card? To maximize Tival, you need to be great at self-mill, great at gaining life, and pack a nice array of big spells with few color requirements to make the most of your Delve-granting dragon. Fortunately, Tival swings for 6 lifelink in the air each turn, a valuable life total buffer given how much your life will be drained over the course of the game. Your graveyard is going to be highly taxed too, with so much delving. Still, it'll all be worth it when you cast a 0-mana Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, or a massive Villainous Wealth if you love fun, or just a Torment of Hailfire if you don't care about losing all your friends. Make no mistake, Tival might be number 2 on this list, but it's actually the dragon I'm most excited personally to build a commander deck around. All right, it's time to talk about the number 1 dragon commander from Tarkir Dragonstorm. If you're good at the process of elimination, then you'll have already guessed that the absolute best new spirit dragon commander is Shiko, Paragon of the Way. But wait, how exactly would you build a commander deck around this powerful flying lizard? Presented here is not just why Shiko is the best new dragon commander out of Tarkir, but also which cards you'd want to include in a commander deck around them and why. Shiko is a 5-mana, 4/5 Jeskai dragon with flying and vigilance. When it enters, exile target non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. Copy it. Then you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Crucially, copies of permanent spells become tokens. On its face, you might be surprised to see Shiko surpass Tival in my estimation. It's a cool effect, but is casting a mid-sized spell from your yard on the turn you cast Shiko really more exciting than giving all your spells Delve? Well, I don't know about more exciting because that's subjective, but more powerful? Why, yes. That's because Shiko's Enter the Battlefield effect doesn't only trigger when it is cast. Unlike many Magic the Gathering cards with sweet enters effects, Shiko triggers any time it enters, which means it's a prime candidate to serve as commander of a Jeskai Blink deck, an archetype and color combo pair that straight up did not exist before Tarkir Dragonstorm. Shiko is the best kind of card that makes for an extremely fun commander. It bridges the gap between multiple archetypes. Blink, tokens, and Spellslinger all fit neatly into Shiko's game plan. To get a sense for what I mean by this, take a look at the sample list I've assembled on Architect. As you can see, this is a low-curve deck with plenty of strong 3- and 2-mana cards to flash back with Shiko, both in the form of powerful spells and high-impact permanents that Shiko can copy. If you sort the deck by categories instead of mana value, you can see the blink effects all grouped together here. If you click the playtest button here on the top right, you can get a feel for how the deck functions. Draw sample opening hands by pressing the mulligan button as often as you'd like to get a sense of what sorts of openers the deck is capable of. And then when you're ready to take it for a spin, hit the green Keep This button to be taken into playtest gameplay. Draw a card by clicking on your deck or hitting the letter D on your keyboard. Play cards from your hand by either clicking on them or dragging them onto the playing field where you want them. You can tutor for a specific card from your library, shuffle your library, and even scry or mill, all by hovering your mouse over the deck and and right-clicking. If you right-click a card, you can move it to various zones, or even play it face down if you've got a morph or manifest card in your hand. Add tokens by clicking the More button in the top left, or counters by clicking a card in play and clicking Add Counters. You can also modify a creature's power or toughness in this screen. As you can see, Architect has put a ton of work into its playtest feature to ensure it's as smooth and user-friendly as it can be. It's truly the best possible way to take a new deck for a test drive to make sure you didn't make any glaring mistakes in your deck building before you buy any cards. By taking the time to load your deck into Architect and play testing with it, maybe you'll realize that a certain card isn't quite as castable as you thought. Or maybe after a couple run-throughs, you'll realize you've got too many or too few lands. If you want to give this a try yourself with one of your decks, head over to architect.com/Tolarian to get started. It could not be easier to start using Magic's best deck building tool. Let's take a closer look at some of the key cards that play well in Shiko's 99. The absolute best card to cast off Shiko is Caretaker's Talent. Not only does the token version of the talent trigger itself when it enters play, but you can also level the talent up to level 2 to make a new copy of it, which itself will draw a card. Speaking of copying tokens, while the rules of Magic state that copied permanent spells entering as tokens don't work with token doublers like Anointed Procession, there are still some ways to double up on the tokens you create. Oscillate Pride, for instance, will make copies of these tokens on end step if you gain life on a turn and have the City's Blessing. The second and third chapter on 3 Blind Mice also copies tokens, as does the activated ability from Doctor Who card Romana II. There are obviously a ton of great blink effects in Azurius colors, but Displacer Kitten is by far the best of them. Each non-creature spell you cast off of Shiko will trigger your Kitten, blinking Shiko to recast another card from your yard. You're also going to want to run plenty of other blink effects, from spells like Ephemerate, Parting Guest, and Ghostly Flicker, to permanents such as Brago, King Eternal, Restoration Angel, and Yorion the Sky Nomad. To get the most out of the blink effects, you'll want to run a bunch of additional blink targets, like Wall of Omens, Palahi Archaeologist, and Fear of Missing Out. Archaeologist and Fear of Missing Out are particularly useful, as they can help fill your yard to give you more flashback fodder for your Shiko. We've got all sorts of ways to fill the yard, from discard outlets like Faithless Looting, Bitter Reunion, and Ledger Shredder, to self-mill like Hedron Crab, Otherworldly Gaze, and Search for Azcanta. Jeskai Ascendancy is not just a flavorful inclusion. The passive looting the card provides is extremely useful for setting up Shiko flashbacks. Artist's Talent does the same and also doubles as a mana reducer if you ever have a spare 3 mana lying around for its second level. Prof's Eidetic Memory is a great backup blink target that doubles as a potent win condition. Pile the +1/+1 counters on your Shiko to crack in for massive amounts of commander damage with your flying and vigilant legendary Spirit Dragon. And you don't just have to flashback permanents with Shiko, by the way. There are plenty of great spells to flashback too. I've built a lot of spell-based interaction into the deck, since all the best interactive spells in Jeskai colors are cheap enough to flashback with Shiko. Remember that if you have a way to blink Shiko at instant speed, you can even flashback counter magic with it. On top of that, you've got Brain Surge and Stock Up, both powerful card draw spells that look positively ridiculous when cast for free. See the Truth is the kind of card you might miss when building a deck like this, but it's basically Ancestral Recall when cast from the yard. Speaking of basically Ancestral Recall, want to flashback Ancestral Vision? Well, you certainly can, since Shiko casts cards without paying their mana costs. With as much looting as the deck runs, you're going to want to consider a copy of Monument of Endurance. Remember, if you flashback Monument with Shiko to make a token and then make copies of that token with any token doublers in play, each monument triggers separately when you discard cards. That means you can either choose different modes for each trigger or get multiple of the same trigger. You can add as many tutors as you'd like to the deck, but at a baseline, I recommend running Imperial Recruiter, Moon-Blessed Cleric, and Spell Seeker. All 3 of these cards don't just find key synergy pieces. They actually are synergy pieces themselves that you can either blink or flash back with Shiko. Spellseeker finds your blink spells, your looting and self-mill, and of course all your cheap interaction. Imperial Recruiter finds you either great blink targets or creatures that blink those targets like Brago and Displacer Kitten. And Moon-Blessed Cleric finds your high-impact enchantments that Shiko can flash back. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Jeskai Ascendancy, and of course, Caretaker's Talent. Another underrated card worth including is Seal of Cleansing. Since it's a disenchant, you can flash it back with Shiko even before there are any artifacts or enchantments that you want to get rid of. And of course, Currency Converter is a natural fit in the deck, given how much looting you're going to be doing, as Converter will churn the cards you loot away into treasures and 2/2 attackers. With all the casting of spells from exile, Vega the Watcher is a phenomenal card advantage engine that will trigger at least once every turn, and often even more than that. And while you're triggering Vega, you also trigger a personal favorite of mine, the 12th Doctor, which doubles up on the spells you flash back with Shiko at the cost of giving a copy of the spell to an opponent. The 12th Doctor therefore gives you some bargaining power at the table, since players who don't antagonize you are more likely to get to share in the sheer value that your Shiko deck generates. And remember, each time you copy a spell with Shiko or the 12th Doctor, your Doctor gets bigger and bigger for real, not just on the inside. Remember, there are truly so many ways to build around this new Jeskai Spirit Dragon. In this video's description, I've included a link to a complete Shiko Blink deck list on Architect, built with Bracket 3 in mind. I have not included any game changers since I wanted to let you decide which specific game changers you'd want to run in such a deck. And you know what? Honestly, I'm just so excited about Tarkir Dragonstorm. This set feels like a Magic the Gathering set in all the ways I've been missing with Aetherdrift and Duskmourn. I cannot wait to get my hands on these Tarkir cards and start playing, and I think the first cards I'm going to play with will be this Jeskai Shiko Blink Commander deck. No, the Sultai Commander deck with Delve. No, I'm actually gonna do that Big Butts Commander. No, I'm getting all 5. What about you? If you have not already done so, please check out our full pre-release guide to Tarkir. There's still time to go down to your local game store and play in a pre-release this weekend, and also, it's a great guide to tackling the format sealed. You can check out that video by clicking the I or checking out this video's description. And also, if you haven't watched it yet, our new standard episode of Shuffle Up and Play, where we build standard decks out of Tarkir, is available here as well. Check those videos out, or another, you'll be helping the channel out when you do.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
What's up? It's Shuffle Up and Play. Today, Allie Beardsley, Jesse Robkin, and Spice 8 Rack, but we have a deck for it designed to delight and terrify.
I'm beside myself with terror.
This is your commander.
You son of a bitch.
Add a counter here. Don't read into the fact that I'm using a D20 to keep track of the counters.
Tap 5 for throwing stuff.
No!
So-
Wait, how is that gonna work in this?
Oh, Hatsune Miku. She made Magic the Gathering.
Through the magic of editing, I will determine what I'm keeping. And watch this. And then we're just gonna say, I don't give a Urza.
We leave that in.
Please keep that in. Please keep that in.